Hi, this is Vicki from Learning Home Volunteers, and welcome to our learning session on trains. In the Bay Area, we're really lucky to have easy access to a train. Our trains run from San Francisco to San Jose and back, of course. And when my daughter was 3, my mom took her on a train. My daughter loved buying the ticket at the kiosk, and then the train arrived with lots of noise and excitement. And she and her grandmother went on the train to find seats. And then after the train started, the conductor came through and took her ticket. Each stop was announced, and then they got to watch the world go by the window until it was their stop to get off. This trip is all she talked about for weeks. And we saw the trip in her play with her wooden trains. And she collected tickets from us for all sorts of reasons: dinner, going in and out of her room, anything that she could think of that might take a ticket. We hope that the trains in this book or this box actually and the activities around them will capture your child's imagination and inspire your family to check out some of the train experiences. Oh my goodness, there were so many great train books to choose from. It was hard. Our first book, Freight Train, is a wordless book showing a freight train on its journey. Hard to imagine, but the pictures actually make you feel like you're on the train. Our next book is called I Like Trains, and it's about a dog who loves everything trains, playing with them, traveling on them, drawing them, everything. And finally, we have a short Thomas the Train story. If your little one is a fan of the Thomas the Train, they are going to love this adventure. Our Thomas book is Stop Train Stop. Well, our first activity is activity number 1, make a train. What better way to start our train session than to build a train of your own? We're making one with egg cartons. Our lovely volunteers have cut the egg cartons up so that your learner can actually make a train. The egg carton should be oriented with the egg opening up, and you can connect them together using pipe cleaners provided. You put the pipe cleaners through the punched holes and then twist them together to make the link permanent. In your bag, you're going to find some little items to put into the trains for them to carry from one station to another. Did you know that freight trains carry around 1.6 billion tons of raw materials and finished goods, making up 28% of all freight movement in the United States? There are 140,000 miles of track that is reserved exclusively for freight in the United States. So, what are they carrying? Well, they carry food and cars and car parts and construction materials to build buildings and farm products like grain and paper products. And they do that all on track. So this is activity number 2, and we thought you might want to make some train track for your trains. So in your box that we provided a roll of butcher paper to make tracks and a couple of wooden trains to help drive them on those tracks. The wooden trains include an engine and a passenger car just in case you need to take people on a journey. Sometimes the train is not long enough to get where you want, so you can make them always with one of your own. Actually, this is a pre-rating exercise for the children. You can help by drawing the track lines on the top and the bottom, and then they can add the lines that go up and down for the actual track that ties themselves. Now, understand this is really not that easy. They're practicing control, but whatever their attempts are is an attempt which is that much closer to perfection. So let them know that you celebrate their success and their accomplishments so that they can own them themselves. And when they are done, they can drive their their trains on the track that they created. For some inspiration, we thought we'd share some pictures of train tracks. Sometimes there are multiple tracks sitting right next to each other. One has trains going in one direction, and the others for trains traveling in the opposite direction. Sometimes there's just one train track. You can see the rails are the metal bars, which is what the train actually rides on. And to keep the rails just the right distance apart, they're connected to ties, which are those wooden beams that are on the ground. To see, you can see that those rails are actually nailed down to the ties. And then to change direction, they actually create a switch, which looks like this. When activated, this switch will allow the train to change direction. The trains can actually travel at a very fast speed to protect people before a train actually travels in front of them or across their path. Lights and sounds go off, and a gate is lowered to prevent people or cars from crossing the tracks. Even though you may not see a train coming when the gates are lowered, never cross a track when the gate is down. Or at the station, you want to make sure that you stay behind the yellow line when the trains come in at the station. Do you see the yellow lines on the right? This is actually a picture of the San Carlos train station, not too far from our place. So whether you make a simple track design like this one or a more complex one, the best part of play is setting up the train. And we've shown you some other things I thought you might want to think about and adding to your train configurations, um, which is a tunnel, of course, maybe with a mountain scene or a tunnel that they can drive through like this one, or maybe even a train or two, or a tree or two. All of those add to the kind of setting of the scene, which makes the train play that much more fun. Well, activity number 3 is inspired by the book Freight Train. And in your box, you're going to find some sponges, some paint, and paper. So, how many train cars are you guys going to have? And what colors will you make them? Whatever you do, I'm sure it will be exciting and maybe a tiny little bit messy. Just remember that all the paint we send to you is washable paint and should clean up with soap and water in case things get too exciting. This is activity number 4. It's an alphabet train. The child can color the letters, and maybe you could put it up at your house. For those of you with children that are very young, letters just look like squiggles that adults are interested in. The easiest letters to recognize are T, X, and V, being very straight lines and always having a single orientation. Having access to letters allows children to explore them at their own pace. Well, this is all for this week, and next week we'll have more train fun.